Hey YouTube, how's it going? It's me, R-Squad911, back again with another Ghostbusters Hsslab Ghost Trap DIY video. Today we're going to be installing the GhostLab42 Banjo, this fitting here, changing these tubes out, and yeah, that's about it. I think that's the last aesthetic mod I'm going to be doing on this pedal. There's a bunch of other stuff too. I think GhostLab42 just came out with a new metal vector plate pedal for here, and it actually has a metal hinge. But honestly, I think it's fine the way it is. I just don't want to spend any more money on this. The last mod that I'm going to do, which I've already pre-ordered, is the Ecto Labs full replacement board for the pedal and trap. I think that's going to be pretty cool. It's pretty much equivalent to the Ninja Tunes or GP Star board for the Proton pack. But really, I think this pedal is great enough as it is, and if I had to carry it around adding more metal parts to this, it might just get way too heavy. I just wore my pack to Toronto Comic Con, and it weighing about 49-50 pounds. My back was aching after 6 hours of wearing it around non-stop. Man, I still have the welts on my shoulders. But yeah, so let's open this thing up. We're gonna see here, there's nothing else in here, just a box with that. Let's toss that over to the side. And if we look at this right now, we got the replacement hose here. And this, it kind of looks the same color. It's kind of darker, but I'm going to show you my other hoses that I have. But yeah, this one has a lot of printing on it. Yeah, it just has all the max PSI and whatever. And then I'll show you what I got from Charlesworth Dynamics. We got this and this yellow piece, and you can see there's no printing on the yellow. And this red, I'm not sure if you can see it in the picture, but it is a much deeper red. And then this red, just a tinge deeper than the factory plastic hose with this real red hose there. But this dark red looks so much better. And I'll be using this yellow here. Even though Ghost Lab's yellow is a tinge darker than this one, but it doesn't have all this printing, which I don't mind either, but because I have one that has no printing, I'm just going to use that. So these are the two I'm going to use. The Ghost Lab ones is going to go into my spare box kit that I have for when friends bring over their stuff and I want to swap it out for them, I'll do it. So I'll just throw that off to the side. But these will be the hoses I'm using from Charlesworth Dynamics. And then we'll open this thing up here. Now, if you've seen in my earlier videos, I've already kind of replaced this with like a cheap Home Depot fitting there. But because I wanted to get a new Banjo fitting up here, if I were just to buy the Mac factory one, it's like $30 Canadian. And to get this whole kit, it would end up being like 40 something, I think US with shipping and stuff. But you know, it came with all these extra pieces, and I like to support GhostLab42 because they make great products. All right. The other GhostLab42 piece that I got was this light here, which is great. I should have ordered it all together, but I was being cheap at the time because I said I wasn't going to spend money. Famous last words, and I've just been, that's all I've been doing is spending money on this stuff. So yeah, not going to be doing the metal vector plate. This will be my last aesthetic mod, and I'll be good. Right? Right. I know. You guys are going to tell me that. Yeah, I've heard that before. And to be honest, so have I. Okay, so we are going to install this. It's going to go there. And it comes with 2 different bolts, which is really cool. And we'll open this thing up and we'll check it out. You can get it with this stainless bolt here, or we're going to put this brass bolt. Not sure which one I want to use. They're both the same thread. Is it? Ooh, it's not the same thread. Is it? No, it is the same thread. It's just a nylock that's stopping it from turning in. Let's double check that just to make sure the threads look the same. I put the threads up against each other. Yeah, they're the same. Okay, so That is very nice. Nicely machined. Looks good. I did get the Ben of Kent props banjos, and I'll go grab that actually. Give me 1 sec. Yeah, I just have it over here. Yeah, it's almost the same, you know, same type of machining. All right, except this one, the corners are nicely rounded on all 8 edges, whereas Ben of Kent's is just on this back edge here. And there's kind of like a rounded, front here, but these are quite sharp there. And his screws just look like that's rounded instead of like hexagonal. All right, but I do like the GhostLab one much better. You can compare. It's actually a little bit fatter too, just a touch. How about lengthwise? Lengthwise, Ben of Kent's is just a touch longer. Compare it to there. It's the Ben of Kent to the factory one. And then this is the GhostLab to the factory one, which is pretty much the same size. So this is the one we're going to go with. So what I need is a Phillips screwdriver. I'm going to take this one off. There is going to be some cutting and drilling probably involved in this. We're about to find out. On my DIY videos, I kind of, do it on the fly in front of you guys, live on camera per se. So it looks like we're definitely going to have to cut these parts off of there. And then we're going to fit, this is the Ben of Kent, put that off to the side. Not going to be using that. Right there, and then this is just basically going to be screwed in to the top there once that's cut out. Okay, so another thing we're going to do is we're going to open this up, get this piece out, because we're going to have to install this one. And there's like this 3D printed part here. I think that slots into the existing one. Now I drilled into this, so hopefully this is going to work out. I'm not sure if I just have to end up just staying with this one, but it's fine if I do. The brass kind of matches anyways. It is an actual brass piece, just doesn't look as screen accurate as this one because you can see the fittings there look really, really good. Okay, so we're going to open this up. You guys will be using a Phillips screwdriver. I've changed these bolts. They're not movie accurate or screen accurate at all. I just like the look of it over the Phillips screws. Yeah. So we're just going to remove 4 of these. And once we get this off, it's going to expose everything inside there. And it should be a pretty easy install from there. Okay, have that opened up like so. Let's move all these out of the way. And then you can see this is where I kind of screwed in my banjo. I'm going to unscrew it by just unscrewing it like so. Oh, there, the hose came out. So it's just like that. And I did not drill that, I don't think, no. Okay, so that's just going to fit right in there, which is going to be great. This one looks like it just sits in from behind, and then you'll have to drill and screw that through, and then probably screw it through this plastic piece here. But because I had installed this one, I had to drill a hole through it, and I actually just threaded the plastic and threaded this through into the plastic behind it. Now, that's obviously not going to work for me in this case. So either I have to glue this behind here, or I'll 3D print my own piece that just kind of slides in there. So instead of wasting time with 3D printing, I'm just going to end up gluing this into place. Okay, so in order to do that, I am going to have to open this up. And if I want to change these hoses anyways, I would have to open it up regardless. All right, so here we go. Phillips screwdriver, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 2 underneath here. So 8 total, and we'll just unscrew those. Adding all these new heavy brass pieces. But still, what's nice is the factory pieces that were on there were actual metal, just not actual fittings like these. Although I don't believe this is a real fitting anyways. This is just machined, obviously, because there's a screw built into the back of it. Yes, I know how to use a screwdriver. Okay, there. So we got to get those pieces off, and what I like to use is some sticky tape. Just wrapped around there. Pull it upwards. This is, I'm making myself a reminder right now that this bolt will end up falling off, and then I always end up not remembering to putting it in, and then I have to take it all apart again at the end. Okay, so what's nice about this D ring here is, oops, stupid. I took off the feet, but I didn't take out the screws. But yes, what's nice about this D ring here, I sell these on my Etsy store. I'll put a link in the description below. Is you just grab and you pull up, and this pulls out just like that. Okay, so we're looking at this part here. So this just pulls out, and you can see that's where I marked it with Sharpie, and I drilled the hole. So now this piece, I wonder if I could just glue it to this if I were to open it up. But this piece is supposed to sit in there like so, like that. So I'm thinking I'd want to glue it to this piece, so when I do take it apart, it all just stays in place. Okay, so to do that, crazy glue. And I'm not going to glue it to that one, just to this piece here, because when I try to take this part off, it is obviously not going to come out because I would have glued those two pieces together. Okay, so let's get this glue out here. There we go. I'm going to be very generous with the glue. I just want it to stay. Okay, so now let that dry a little bit. But hopefully this thing will cover up whatever, little glue, extra bit of glue that I have on there. Just let that sit and dry. And then while we do that, I'm going to figure out how to pull these out. Now I think that if you heat them up with a heat gun, you can probably pull them out without damaging them. I didn't do that with this. I had just cut it off. But let's be honest, I don't think I'll ever be using these again. But for the sake of anyone who wants to kind of reverse it, I'll give it a shot and just heat it up and show you guys how to pull it out. But obviously, you're going to be hard pressed to be able to reuse this after you cut that off. All right, and you're probably wondering, how is that going to screw in if you cut that tab off? Well, if you look underneath here, there is enough thread in there for the screw to thread into. And even if there wasn't that, this plastic is thick enough for the thread to go through. And it does come with a bolt regardless if you're worried about that. Okay, so let's go get my heat gun and get these little fake tubes out of there. Okay guys, got my heat gun here, and what we're going to do is we're just going to heat this up. Now, you don't want to heat too much. You don't want to melt or warp any plastic, right? Okay, that should be hot enough. And you just want to pull it from one end, pull from the other. But of course the pedal is kind of in the way here. I guess the only way to do it is if I disconnect this pedal, but I just don't want to do that. So again, on the fly here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut these out of there. Yeah, I'm not going to be reusing these, but we'll just cut those out. You don't need them, and then just pull these out of here, like so. Yeah, and these are just solid plastic tubes, you can see there. Okay, so that's that for that. And now next we are going to be cutting off the top of this because you want this banjo to sit there. And I'm wondering, I'm going to try it, but I'm not sure if it's going to work. Instead of cutting it fully off, I'm going to trim it down and see if that tube will fit through this hole. So first we're going to flatten this out by cutting this. So you want some flat snips similar to this. And there we go. It's nice and flat there. And then this kind of looks like the Green Lantern symbol. We're going to get rid of this solid piece there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put our clippers right on top of there and just cut it. Now I'm not being super careful because I know in the end all I can do is just cut that piece off. But we'll see if this works. Okay, getting there. Then we got to cut off the nub at the very back. No, it just looks like it's a little too thick for it. So what we are going to have to do is actually snip it off, just like that, and then get it nice and flush, like that. So it's just going to sit right there. There are some bits that are kind of sticking out, so you could clean it up a little bit, get a little bit of sandpaper. I would mask it off and just sand in the center just to get it flat, because it is going to sit here and pretty much be from this hole forward. It's going to cover whatever that there is there up. So we will mask it off like so. Like that. We'll get some sandpaper that I have sitting in my drawer over here. Just tear off a little piece like this. And we'll just sand that down a little bit just to get it flat. That's good. very soft plastic. You don't really need to do much to it. And then it's just going to sit like that. All right, and which screw am I going to use? I'm going to use this, or am I going to go with the brass? I think I'll go with the brass because I'm using the same on the proton pack. You just got to choose which side you like the best. There's a lot of like dings on this side, so I want that to kind of face the inside. And then it's just going to screw into there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get a drill bit, kind of match the sides of this, maybe go slightly smaller so you can at least screw it into here. And if all else fails, you use this nut. Okay, so I did bring my drill, and I did bring my drill bits. And I believe that's probably going to be a 4.5 millimeter screw. Yeah, so we're going to go with 4 millimeters. We're going to go slightly undersized, so we can just screw it in afterwards. Okay, perfect. So this is a 4 millimeter. Going to get my handy dandy drill here. And then we're going to look underneath, make sure wires aren't going to get clipped while we do this. Hold it as straight as possible, and then just drill straight through. And there you have it. Okay. And now I'm going to deburr it a little bit with the sandpaper. You don't have to mask it again if you're careful. And we're going to test this screw here. And it will screw no problem into it. And there's enough here to bite it. But if you want to use that nut, you are more than welcome to. Okay. Just kind of test fit that in there. I might just use this one to thread it in because I won't be using it. I need to get a flathead screwdriver. So be right back. All right, got my flathead screwdriver here. I'm going to use a screw that I won't be using in case I mar it up. And just thread it in. So this will make the threads. It might be better to get an actual, I guess, socket set and screw that in. I'm not sure if that's 10 mil or 8 mil, but I'm just going to screw it in like so. Get the thread started in the plastic. It is threading in very, very nicely, actually. And it's not even through yet. There we go. Now I feel it with my finger underneath. And that's it. We'll back that out. And with such a positive grab that I feel, definitely won't need to use the nylock washer. It's going to be more than secure for me. But obviously, however you feel, go with your feelings. If you think that using the nut is best, use the nut, right? Okay, so basically, forgot which side I was going to use. That. Threads are there. I can pretty much thread it in by hand, in the beginning at least. Ooh, now this is a little bit more delicate, so what I'm going to do is I am going to, instead of marring it up, I'm going to go get a socket for this, and yeah, I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back. Got my socket set here. It is actually an 8 millimeter socket that you need for this. Okay, so we will, it is kind of jutting out still just a little bit, I guess from me screwing in the bolt there. There we go, that's nice and flat. it. Ooh, just hit the relay there. Tightening this down. Go. I don't know how tight I want to be. Do I want it to be slightly loose so it can just kind of move around? But if it moves around, it might kind of mar up the plastic. So we'll do it a little bit snug. Just like that. That looks good. But yeah, once you have that tapped in, you're going to use, like I said, it's a 4mm drill bit. You're going to drill that in, and this will just screw right in, no problem. And then if you do want to secure that afterwards, you can get a hot glue and just kind of put it right on there, and then you don't have to worry about the threads backing out. Okay, so now we're going to go install this. This looks like the crazy glue has kind of set in there. And then what we're going to do here is we're just going to screw this into place. And that screws in super duper easy. Just like that. And yes, you will need to bolt this in. So because I had already widened that hole there, let's see if this will work in my favor. But I believe you're going to have to cut this whole section out if you didn't do that. So then it will give you access to put in the screw or put in the bolt or the nut. Okay, so let's see how this works. So like that. Screw that bolt through, and exactly where that hole that I made. So what's nice about that is I can just put the nut through there. Now, again, here, I'm going to pull this out. If you didn't do what I did, some of you might have if you followed my other videos, all you need to do is just cut this edge off here. So where I put the screwdriver, just kind of follow this line here, and you're just going to cut this tab off right there. And that'll give you enough room to access that bolt. Okay. So we're just going to stick this back on, like so. I'm going to take this bolt. I have very slippery fingers today. It's very dry. And I'm just going to put the bolt in from behind and screw it in. Now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to use get my pliers, and just because it is a nylock bolt, and nylock is basically they put nylon inside the threads there, so when the bolt goes through, instead of using I guess like blue Loctite or thread locker, the nylon just kind of grips it onto the threads and it won't back out. Same idea as me trying to put hot glue on the threads on the Banjo bolt that I put through here. Okay, so I get my pliers here. Just hold that bolt in place and just screw it in. Another thing I'm probably going to have to do is get a socket for this. Put it over top, hold that with the pliers, and just kind of bolt it in. So what I'm going to have to do now is find a socket for this, or a wrench. All right, so stay tuned. Okay guys, I'm back. I took this with me to the garage, and that is an 11mm. Fits perfectly right over top. So what I'm going to have to do is put it here on my socket. Here, put that on. Hold that with my bolt and just tighten it down. hold that with my bolt. Is that what I just said? Hold it with my my pliers and tighten it down. All right, again, it being plastic, don't need to go ham on it, just so that you just feel it stop. And that's it. And look at that, I got it pretty straight there. I mean, not that it matters. You can kind of put it whichever way you want. I like symmetry. So that's pretty good. And then that's it. I mean, it's on. I'm not going to bother putting hot glue on there. You can if you want. I'm very confident that that is not coming off. And basically, all we do now is add these hoses. All right, red hose for this one. And I don't remember which one the red hose went into. I'm not sure if it went to the closest one to it or the furthest one to it. I guess the way to find out is to test the length of this. So it looks like red went there. And then did yellow go all the way over? No, yellow could have been the closest. Yellow seems like it was the closest, and then this, the red one, was on the furthest one. All right, so we're going to start to install this. I'm just going to clean up the table a little bit. Get everything out of the way so we have a nice clean work table. Don't need the drill anymore. Okay, these pieces are now going in the spare bin. Going to need hot glue gun. We'll just plug that in, let that warm up. Don't need the heat gun. And yeah, okay, can't forget to put that on. These are the bits that I'll cut off. And yeah, so I'll probably crazy glue that into the banjo. And this one will go into the furthest one away. So what's best is to install these first. It's probably best to put it through the bottom. Actually, these are actually a little too thick to go into the holes. So we might have to open those holes up a little bit. Let's go with a 4.5 millimeter. And when you're drilling through these, you don't want to push all the way down because you're going to hit the bottom of the pedal, or the underside of the vector plate. Okay, that took a little bit more material out. And we'll see. And yeah, it goes right through. All right. So we will thread it from underneath. The red one goes, when you're looking at the bottom, it goes on the left, and the yellow goes on the right. So you're going to thread it through there. You're going to use your finger and kind of let it guide it out. All it wants to do is hit the bottom of the pedal or the vector plate. And I can see now, looking underneath, why people would want to put a real vector plate on there, because you can really see the grid pattern of the plastic under there. But not sure if I'm willing to change this part yet. It just seems a lot more trouble than it's worth. I'm wondering if I should get it to go underneath the black wire there, just because this is just so I guess. It's just pushing up from there. It's just, or not taut, it's more stiff. There we go. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to pull that in tighter or I want it further out. Do I want it like that? Ooh. Make sure that, no, it won't get in the way. That looks good there. Kind of like that kind of curve to it. And then I can just leave the extra in there. I don't even need to hot glue that in place. I guess I could. Yeah, I think that's a good look for it. And then we're going to run this yellow through here. And it's just going to go into like that. That looks great. That looks actually 10 times better than what it looked like before. I mean, Hsslab did a good job, but just putting like the real parts or realer looking parts, it just looks so much better. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to cut these. I kind of like to know that I have some spare, but I am going to put some hot glue on there just to hold it into place. So we're just going to put some around there. I think I'm happy with the length of it. Sometimes it just doesn't want to stand. Okay, we'll just put it like that. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I mean, I can pull that in a little bit more. It just gives you that kind of look there. I think that looks great. Okay, and obviously these haven't been pushed in, or they're pushed in, but they're not secure yet. I mean, I think it'll be okay if you didn't put anything in there, like glue, because they actually insert quite far into there. But if you are concerned, I don't like to use hot glue because when you put hot glue inside the hole, and as soon as you put in this tube, because it's not warm, it kind of solidifies a hot glue right away and it doesn't grab. And then you got to dig out a bunch of hot glue that's been cooled down in there, or you have to heat this up to melt it again. So the best thing to do is just actually put a drop of crazy glue in there, put the hose in, and then you're good to go. All right, I'll do that at the end, but right now we are going to button this thing up. I don't think these are going to be in the way of anything. All right, let's not forget this piece there. And then we are going to put this all together. And of course that bolt just fell out. So when you're putting this back on, you gotta make sure you pay attention to this part and this part. It slides into here. This one slides into here. This one slides into there. You gotta make sure that it mates properly, because afterwards, when you've actually had everything screwed in, you're gonna notice that the plastic didn't line up, even though all the screws went in, no problem. Okay, so that's one screw, or that's how that's going to sit. And it looks like these hoses are kind of messing with the way that this thing closes. So I wonder if we can just kind of keep it all contained in here. Let's see if we can do that. Of course, it lifted out that nut and it fell on the floor here. So if you are happy with the way that your hoses are sitting, you probably don't need to do what I am doing here. This is just a lot of extra work. I just don't want to cut the hoses in case I want to do any adjustments later on, if that makes any sense. But there we go. Everything is good. And while I'm holding it there, because the hoses want to push up, and of course this fell out again, I'm going to keep my thumbs close to this so I can start screwing it all back in, making sure that the hoses don't push the bottom plate up. Okay, one screw in, two screws in, and that's the only part I'm concerned about. So we can flip this back over, can take a look, and everything looks great. All right, so all these pieces are lined up. This piece is lined up. Once we screw it in, it's going to be a lot more flush. You can kind of see here it's kind of jutting out. Let's put that screw in first. There we go. Everything is good. Golden. All right. Tighten those ones up already so we can put the feet back on. And yeah, we can just start bolting everything back in. So there was two nuts. I don't know how you would put that nut on the other side there. Yeah, you'd have to cut away something to get it there, but the plastic holds up very, very well. Yeah, I said earlier I wasn't going to put the hot glue in there, but because I have the hot glue gun out, I'm just going to put the hot glue on it, and it's going to hold it in place, just like that. Okay. I'm just going to put this plate back on here. Leave it faces this way. The rounded side, if you're ever wondering about orientation, plus there is like kind of like the weathering, silver weathering there on the corner, but the rounded side goes up facing the top. And we're just going to button this up, screwing these in. And at the end, we're going to crazy glue those hoses into place. Okay, so finally, we're going to take some crazy glue. Like really, I'm not sure if we actually need to glue these into place, because they do sit in there pretty positively. Even if you shook these up, you really would have no issue of them falling out. But so we'll just get crazy glue here. So really, this is up to you if you want to do this. Just put a drop in there, kind of let it fall to, let it coat all the way down as it goes into it, and then just plug it in and then let it dry. Yeah. Then you would do the same for this one. If you use the gel, this is just the very flowy kind of super glue. If you use the gel one, you could probably use a toothpick and just kind of push it down in there. But with this, I just put a drop in there and then it just flows down to the bottom, and that's really all you need. Drop in there, like this, and then insert it in, and we are done. All right, so overall, very easy installation, very straightforward. Just need to do a little bit of cutting the top of here, and cutting that gray plastic tab that's kind of in the way when you put this in. Then you screw it all in after you drill this hole a little bit bigger. And I think the overall look is really good. I mean, if you compare this to the factory one and this to the factory one, it is night and day difference. Even the hoses are nice. Even if you use his hoses, even though they're kind of like, it's definitely, they're, first of all, they're real hoses, and they are a slightly darker tinge than the factory one. But these are the Charlesworth Dynamics ones, and I just like these colors better, and it just matches my Proton pack, because these are the yellow and red that I've used on my Proton pack. And yeah, coupled with his little light here, it looks great. And with my fixed and modified Dragon Workshop ribbon cable here, I think with kind of the hybrid of the Hsslab here, I didn't end up using his D connector there, but you can see my video on that. He is sending me a new one so I can re-review it. He just fell ill a little bit, so he's just recovering from, I guess, like a little stomach bug. So he's going to be working on mine and sending it, and I'll be doing a re-review on it. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. That's the GhostLab42 dress-up kit. It comes with a banjo, and this connector here comes with hoses, and it's very straightforward and very easy to do, and the end result is awesome. All right, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you guys are going to be doing this upgrade. Yeah, again, you can just buy, if you wanted to, just the Ben of Kent props banjo, and just get the Home Depot connector like I did in my other video, and just get these hoses from Charlesworth Dynamics and piece it together. It might end up being slightly cheaper, but once you just get the whole kit and caboodle from GhostLab42, it's just going to be very straightforward. You get all the pieces all at once, and you just install it. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Please like and subscribe, comment below, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.